Forever. Dog.
This week on Movies, Baby, the first episode, we're talking about Oscars. We're talking Dune 2. We're talking Emma Stone Legacy. We're talking Joe and I's Letterboxd. What did we watch this week? What do we recommend for you? We're talking about so much stuff having to do with the movies. I could not be happier to be doing this show with you, Joe. Are you ready?
You know it.
Then roll that new theme song. I can't get enough movies, baby. I can't get enough movies, baby. How about you? Do you have it bad too? Whenever one ends, it's like the death of a friend. I get to wishing that there were 2 more reels. Then a voice cries out, "Move, baby, you're in my seat, and you don't want to mess with the Philly movie freak."
I can't get enough movies, baby. I can't get enough movies, baby. Yes, it's true. Oh, I've got it bad too.
He's got it bad.
Every night of the year, like the moon I appear, all the hottest movie theaters in town. Cut to black. Roll credits. Whoa, baby. I'm lost in a fog. I need someone to talk to.
Who's that?
Hey, the Georgia movie dog.
I can't get enough movies, baby.
I can't get enough movies, baby.
I can't get enough movies, baby.
Can't get enough movies, baby. Yeah, welcome to Movies, Baby, the weekly movie show where we break down the hottest movie news, review the latest releases, shout out forgotten classics, and prophesy the future of Hollywood. I'm Joe Cilio, a.k.a. the Philly Movie Freak, and I'm joined by my co-host Brett Boehm, a.k.a. the Georgia Movie Dog.
Go Dogs! Margo, you can fade out that sweet, sweet backing track. And thank you to Smash Mouth for giving us the right to use that. Can't get enough of you, baby. What do people think? That's our new Movies Baby theme song. It is the first time we tried that. I gave Joe his lyrics this morning. Joe,
I think I killed it.
You did a fantastic job. All things considered,
you set the tone, and I just was inspired, and I hit it hard.
All things considered, you did a great job. And this is our first episode. There's a lot of gears moving right now. We're gonna do our best tonight. I think we've prepped a lot for this. We've rehearsed. We've worked a lot on this, but it's the first time we're doing this. So everybody, let us know what you think. Let us know how it's going. There's a lot of things moving. Here's how this is gonna work. Every Thursday night, we are gonna be coming to you live. Starting right now at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to do an hour of Movies Baby. Movies Baby, like Joe said, our weekly rundown of movie news, reviews of the latest releases, talking movies, our favorite movies, this and that. That's going to be available for free on the Movies Baby YouTube at Movies Baby. And that's Movies Babies with 5 Ys. It always has 5 Ys, not 4, not 6.
Nah.
It's also available to Patreon subscribers, and then we'll do that for an hour. We'll take a break, and then around 7 Pacific, we're going to be doing Weekend at Bergman's, the podcast that we love so much, where we compare an art house movie and a popcorn movie, and we honestly have to tell you which one we like better. Tonight we're doing Eyes Wide Shut versus American Pie, the first in our 1999 series. And the live stream of that is only available to Patreon subscribers. So if you want to be part of the whole 2-hour shebang, and yet I trust me, you do. We get in costumes for the second half. We get a little looser. We have a lot of fun. We're talking about Eyes Wide Shut and American Pie tonight. Do not miss this. You have to be on the Patreon, though, to be part of the second half. So the YouTube will cut off halfway through, and then the Patreon subscribers will have access to the full thing. You can also listen to both these shows as podcasts. They come out tomorrow for Patreon subscribers. And then if you're not a Patreon subscriber, Weekend at Bergman's comes out on Monday. Movies Baby still comes out on Friday. And then also make sure you follow us on all the socials at Movies Baby with 5 Ys and at Weekend Bergman. on all the socials. That's the business.
We love the business.
Did I leave anything out? I think that's it.
No, speaking of the business, why don't we get to our first topic
Joe,
this week?
What's the biggest thing that happened in movies this week?
The Oscars were on Sunday, Brett, and Hollywood is abuzz with post-Oscars chatter. And you know, Brett, really, here's the topic sentence this year. Though there weren't many surprises about who got the awards, the biggest surprise was we all watched and enjoyed the Oscars this year, which has been a long time coming. We've had some weirdness with an abundance of political discourse that made things not the funnest years of the Oscars ever. Then we had some COVID stuff. Then we had some soft movie stuff. Then we had the changes in the people's blah, 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 blah. But folks, we are back. And that leads me to who I think is the big winner, sort of who I am putting the face of this Oscar 2023 movie year success on, and I'm gonna do my shout out for Christopher Nolan. It was his night. It was Oppenheimer's night. It was Christopher Nolan's night, and we can all thank our lucky stars it was Christopher Nolan's night. It is nice that we have a technically superlative auteur that can make gigantic Hollywood features that have deep themes, challenging narratives, incredible performances, serious tone for adults, and then that picture can win Best Picture. That is a huge win for the movie-making public. It's a huge win for culture. We had to wash the horrendous taste of Everything Everywhere all at once out of our mouths and reassert the importance of adult cinema, and I'm glad the Oscars did something about it. I loved a lot about the Oscars. I loved Hoyt van Hoytema.
Sure.
Saying that we should shoot on film. That would be great. Good idea. I loved Cord Jefferson saying we should make a bunch of $4 million movies instead of $200 million movies.
And we
love that.
He's right. He's right at every level. I think because a lot of times people will say something like that, about the importance of indie cinema, low budget cinema, and we all agree, but then you can just hear the executives in their suites just sort of laughing at how stupid they think we are. But that, I was like, no, the way he laid it out makes complete sense. It makes complete sense. It's good for the producers. It's good for the studios. It's good for everybody to reassert the importance of low budget cinema, indie cinema, because you just have so many more chances at getting a huge movie out of it.
And the big firms need to hear that, but we also were able to celebrate lots of these smaller distributors that are putting out those types of movie. Cord Jefferson's talking about. Neon had a bunch of features this year, including Anatomy of a Fall. A24, of course, had a bunch of great movies. So it's great to see that indie blend. It's great. Everybody always thinks the Oscar ratings are dependent upon the size of the Best Picture nominees. Maybe they're right. The Oscars were up 4%. Everybody loved Barbie. Everyone loved Oppenheimer. 20 million people watched, folks. I'd say we are back.
That was my big takeaway from the night is I don't think I'd fully appreciated the importance of Barbenheimer until the Oscars. Like, it's still sort of, it felt like a fun novelty when it happened. It's completely by chance. There wasn't some sort of thing that was strategically engineered. The movies have nothing to do with each other. But it was a fun thing that we all came up with to do. But really, those two movies and the success of those two movies feels like it has changed the culture and the climate in Hollywood in so many different ways. The Oscars felt like this, old school. It was entertaining. It was fun. It wasn't just sort of, Hollywood wasn't just drowned out by franchise movies this year, like we mentioned last week. And you really felt that in the ceremony, though, and you felt that in terms of the movies that were being recognized and the movies that were winning. And I don't know, it's not directly, it's not all responsible for Barbenheimer isn't responsible for all that, but it seemed like it was the thing that set everything in motion and just reorganized Hollywood in a way and reorganized movie making, at least for the time being. I'm not going to act like that's going to last forever, but we know from movie history, 1999, early 70s, we might be getting into another nice little period here. We might be getting into another classic period, and I'm all for it. I'm very excited.
The film community seems really all about two things that are very promising culturally, and we can thank God for this. Number one, the international language of cinema seems to have stopped being an idea, Brett, and becoming like a tangible, artistic language. So many international features were featured this year in the Oscars, but additionally, like I just love every time who like Guillermo del Toro praises Scorsese, who praises the Korean directors, praises the Mexican directors, praises the European directors. I just love everybody like paying attention to each other.
Yes.
Oh, the history of Japanese cinema is important to the American cinema, and all of our new titans, Nolan as our new Spielberg. One thing I love about guys like Nolan and Spielberg and Scorsese and all the way down the line. They love movies. They love the history of movies. They love the internationalism of movies. And I loved when Christopher Nolan said, I'm excited to be part of the next 100 years of cinema. This art form's not going to turn into phones, folks.
That gave me chills.
Getting more
That gave
movies.
me chills. That gave me chills. When he said, like, can you remember when like painting was only 100 years old? Remember when classical music was only 100 years old? It was Bach and Baroque, and look how many things came after that, right? So it's tempting to think of movies, because of the rise of prestige TV and like you said, phones and social media and this and that, where people like us can just put on a show and it's so easy now. It's tempting to think of the movies as being over, but I think they're just beginning, because people thought they were over at the end of the 50s. People thought they were over, kind of in the mid 90s. There's been all these sort of,
and certainly 2 years ago,
2 years ago, right? And once again, the movies come back. They always life finds a way, right? The movies find a way. I will say to get into the next thing we're going to talk about here, the big, like you said, the only surprise of the night. I thought the big surprise was going to be Paul Giamatti beating Cillian Murphy, was my pick for surprise. That did not happen. What did happen, though, was Emma Stone beating Lily Gladstone, who was seen widely as the front runner. She won the Globes. She won Screen Actors Guild. And then Emma Stone wins for Best Actress for Poor Things. I was disappointed. I thought, it was one of those cases where I was like, that's not how I view good acting, right? Where Emma Stone is clearly a great actor, but Poor Things, there's just a lot of effort, and there's a lot of show, and there's a lot of just hijinks and craziness. She's acting so hard, right? And like we said on our Monday live stream, she's doing a little bit of a I Am Sam, Happy Jack kind of thing too, that no one seems to be sort of talking about. But it's a very sort of extreme performance, whereas to me, Lily Gladstone was much more of the human performance, was finding incredible nuances in that character, was doing a lot with it. I wish Martin Scorsese would not have put her in the sick bed for half the movie. Marty, what are you doing? All right, the relationship between her and Leo was just crackling with intensity and complexity and darkness, and then we put Lily in the sickbed for a little bit too long. The same point could have been made. Just cut it in half and give her more actual time to do that character. I think that maybe hurt the performance a little bit, or what she was able to do, but she still should have won, and she didn't, and that's a shame. I saw Variety wrote this whole thing about how the problem was how she should have been entered in the supporting actress category, and she would have had a better shot if she was in the supporting actress category. I don't like that argument. It feels a little coded to me. It feels a little bit like it feels like that maybe actors of color are thought of sort of marginally still, or thought of as supporting actors more than lead actors. I did not like that argument at all. She was in the movie for nearly an hour of screen time. Okay, and I know it was a long movie, but an hour of screen time, that's more than a supporting actor, right? That is, and particularly because she was the main female character in the movie. Lily Gladstone should have won Best Actress. She did not, but because Emma Stone did, we're getting into some interesting. We got to start talking about legacy with Emma Stone.
She's
now.
in rarefied air, and it's time to start ring counting, folks. Emma Stone's 35 years old. She snuck a second one in early, just to kind of lay the playing field for you, Brett, and for you folks at home. The winningest actress of all time is Katharine Hepburn. She has she has 4 Oscars.
It's hard to win a lot. It's hard. Four is the most.
The most ever of all time is Katharine Hepburn, and she had to tie once with Barbara Streisand to accomplish that. But she won 4 times. Then we have the 3 club, the 3-win club. Meryl Streep, Jack Nicholson, Ingrid Bergman, Daniel Day-Lewis, Frances McDormand, and Walter Brennan. Frances McDormand got one too late. Not late, but recently she stole the she got the 3 billboards, and then she got Nomadland.
She got 2 pretty quickly right in a row.
But look who sneaks up as our youngest 2-time winner, Stone. Other people that have 2 that are active actors. These are actors that are active. Maybe some people here on this list are alive, but like they're not gonna do it again. Sorry, folks. Sorry, Jack Nicholson. He's done. But there are plenty of people that have 2 that could get more. I'm gonna focus on the actresses, although Denzel's got 2, De Niro's got 2. But from an actress's standpoint, Cate Blanchett, 2 Oscars. Let's see, Jessica Lange, cut into the end there. She has 2. Sean Penn, I hope it's getting to the end there. He has 2. Just kidding. Renee Zellweger, she's got 2. She's older than Emma Stone. Who else is alive? Let's see. Hilary Swank, Helen Hayes, Kevin Spacey, R.I.P. Christoph Waltz.
Hilary Swank beat Annette Bening twice. Took 2 away from Annette.
I just don't. Okay, so Hilary Swank has 2. Helen Hayes has 2. As far as actresses go, Winslet has 1. I mean,
Winslet only has 1.
Winslet has
That's for the reader or
for the reader.
Oh my god,
Kate Winslet.
How does Kate Winslet?
She has
only
7 nominations.
Yeah, okay, so
she's low. She's only won 14% of the time. Emma Stone, she's won 50% of the time. She's got 4 Oscar nominations. She's 35. She already won 2. I mean, Brett, like who? Some people have 1 that are her competition, that are in her class.
Well, let's say, because I was not expecting to have this conversation because I didn't think she was going to win.
Right.
But we need to have the conversation, start to have the conversation about Emma Stone that in sports they're having right now about Patrick Mahomes, where there was a second where Patrick Mahomes, he won 1 Super Bowl early and then lost one. And so it's kind of like, well, that he's already off track because Brady has so many rings if you're talking about who's the greatest player of all time. But then he knocked 2 out.
I know.
And now it's like he's back into the conversation. He's leading the conversation. So similarly, Emma Stone, we got to start talking about, she has 2 pretty early in her career, one of which, this one is a surprise, which you kind of have to do.
You have to steal one.
You have to steal one if you're going to be, if you're going for Hepburn. So she's got 2, and we're probably not even at the midpoint of her career.
No.
So there is a good chance that Emma Stone is on track. Get ready, people. Emma Stone might be going after Hepburn because she's now true in like Leonardo DiCaprio territory, where every single year,
right,
all the auteurs are going to try to get her in their movies. They're going to have to like street fight with Yorgos to get, to break that stranglehold. But everyone is going to want her in the big movies. And she's going to have a chance every year now. She's going to have a chance every year to win an Oscar.
For 40 years.
My guess, I'm going to say she gets 1 more. I think
they don't let her get above Meryl.
I don't think she gets to 4. I think she gets to 3.
Meryl's got 20 years of acting left for all we know. She could go ahead and get 4.
Meryl might raise the ceiling,
and then they'll have like that.
Yes.
Remember when they stopped the Thunder Lakers game and LeBron came out because he got the most points? They'll do that when Meryl gets 4. But Emma Stone, I mean, look, her competition in her generation. Brie Larson has won. Regina King has won. Viola Davis, not her generation, but an actor that could win 2 in a heartbeat if she, wanted to. Alicia Vikander, Lupita Nyong'o. Lupita Nyong'o's got the chops.
Yes.
But they don't. Now Lupita is in. Well, she's in so many good movies. I don't know. She needs to get back on her amazing.
Well, this goes
track.
back to. I think it is a. I mean, we all know this, but just to state the obvious, it is an uphill climb. For non-white actresses to compete for Best Actress, because the roles they get, like we'll see how I really hope Lily continues to get good roles that are not just all of the same type. We've seen her get great roles in Kelly Reichardt movies, now in a Martin Scorsese movie. But that Variety article that's why it's so shocking to me, because I was like, I thought we kind of moved past this, but then the argument Variety is making essentially is that, and because they're saying it's about screen time and this and that, but like, come on, it's like you think of supporting actress as kind of the place for more quirky performances, and then quirky can become sort of coded for non-white performances. So I think like for someone like, because look at Lupita's career, right? That's a great example. She's got nothing but talent, as much talent as anybody. But it seems to be tough for her to get roles that would be considered of as Best Actress roles. It seems to be easy for her to get roles where she might be able to slip into supporting, but it seems hard for her to get real like marquee roles. Whereas, let's be honest, Emma Stone's going to have them handed to her for the rest of her life.
Right? It's not untrue, Brett.
That's just something that's going to complicate, you know, who could compete for this generation's greatest actress.
Amen. I mean, and greatest in this conversation, of course, being Oscar noms or Oscar wins.
Right.
Kate Blanchett's got one. Jennifer Lawrence has one. Jennifer Lawrence will wrestle Emma Stone throughout the years, probably as time goes on. Anne Hathaway has one. I feel like Hathaway's got so much more tricks up her sleeve. I mean, it's going to be exciting to watch, Brett. I mean, Kate Winslet, the greatest.
Did you mention Michelle Williams?
No,
I think Michelle Williams could.
Does she even have one yet, though?
Because the problem with Michelle Williams is
she's always going to be understated.
She leans towards understated. She leans towards indie. She leans towards that. So that's always, I think, maybe gonna. Emma Stone has figured out that niche of like big, bold performances that are somehow sort of unifying across the voting group.
It's very likable.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Very agreeable.
And she's very likable.
Talented.
And she's very likable.
And Oscar loves a big performance. And I love Emma Stone. She does. You know, she gives an amazing performance in every movie. I'm not trying to shade her at all.
Yeah.
But I hear you. And she's very like she could pull it off. She could beat Hepburn.
Yeah,
she could beat Streep. We'll see. They gave Meryl Streep 21 nominations and only 3 wins. I think like it's like a Scorsese thing. You know, once the Oscars are kind of done with you, they're done with you, Brett, and women aren't treated fairly. They could put Emma Stone on the shelf in 10 years for all we know. It sounds crazy now. Stranger things, friends.
Well, and it'll be interesting. Jennifer Lawrence is the one you mentioned that feels like she might be able to fill that role because you know I'm thinking of people like Florence Pugh, but Florence Pugh seems more in the Michelle Williams camp. I
don't know if I agree with that. I think Florence Pugh is actually a great option for this debate. I feel like she has so much range. I feel like she might get in the mix.
Right, but this isn't just about talent and range. This is about all these intangible things. It's a popularity contest at the end of the day. And it's like a weird sort of trending thing where it's like who's trending the best towards the award show. And Emma Stone just seems to play that game really well. And even though she, you know, there's talk about, oh, she was shocked she won. She didn't want to take it from Lily, et cetera, et cetera. She wanted to win. She absolutely wanted to win. Do you see how much work she put into Poor Things? She wanted to win.
She thought she should win, and she wanted to win, and she was happy when she did.
Yeah,
sorry,
and maybe she was a little surprised because Lily was the front runner, but she wanted to win. She absolutely did. But Jennifer Lawrence will be interesting to see because she seems to be entering like that mid-career McConaughey sort of thing where he just did sort of big rom-coms for a while because she is so good, and I've said it before, so good in No Hard Feelings, the comedy that came out this year. I could see her doing sort of comedies for a while if Hollywood agrees to make them. But
that's not going to help her get some Oscar gold though.
I know, but what I'm saying is though, but then McConaughey had the Renaissance, right? Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if J-Law is in some just sort of big studio comedies, rom-coms for a little bit, but then has the wave, you know, the tide rolls back in, and then she starts, you know, she does her Mud, her Dallas Buyers Club, her True Detective, whatever, and busts out those chops because she's got them.
But brother, ditto on Florence Pugh. If you give me like 60-1 odds with her 0 noms and 0 wins, I might take her for 5. Florence Pugh's got range, folks.
She does. I'll just say it outright. I think in terms of like marquee actresses, I think she has like too much like attitude and power and charisma for how sexist Hollywood still is. So I think like that she literally is just she's almost like too cool and charismatic and like has too much sort of power and just the sort of agency and presence for like for the residual sexism that still decides, you know, that still plays a role here.
I appreciate that hedge. Yeah. I'll take those odds, Florence.
There you go. All right. He's voting on Florence. I love it. I vote on Florence. I'm voting against Hollywood, but I would vote for Florence.
I love that.
Let's take a look. Speaking of money, we're going to take a look each week on Movies Baby at those old box office charts and see how they're doing.
Let's check the num-nums.
So, Margo, when you get a second, can you show me the money? Let's see what's going on in the box office because this really tells us where we're at as a culture, as an industry. What movies?
Yeah, what
movies are making the cash?
All
okay,
right.
So
Dune
Part 2, which we're going to talk about, moved down to the second slot for its third week. Kung Fu Panda, of course, always the big animated movies, no matter how many sequels they've gone through, are always going to be the top. And that makes so much sense to me now as a parent because it's just like I have to imagine, you know, I'm still not at the point where I'm taking Sandy to movies regularly, but if I did, like as soon as a big animated movie comes out, I'm sure every parent in America is like, oh, thank God, I have something to do this Saturday.
I cannot wait till Enzo goes to the movies.
Right? So Kung Fu Panda 4, congratulations. Imaginary, that's the Krasinski movie.
Krasinski.
I didn't know it was out already.
I have so much to say about it, but I won't because I respect time. I respect your time.
So That's coming in at third.
Hey, you know what's still hanging in there? That
Yes.
Bob Marley One Love movie, that really actually did well. Like, it's been out for weeks now. How many of them? People,
yes.
4 weeks. There it is, number 5. Bob Marley One Love. No one really liked it, but man, people turned out for some Bob.
All I've been hearing about is how that movie overperformed. I mean,
Yeah,
it's up to 90 now, 90 million total gross. Is that what that says?
We should have made Bob Marley One Love.
Yeah.
Darn.
Get ready, people. We're gonna be getting some music biopics coming down the pipeline because Bob Marley overperformed, and that means we're gonna get 5 or 6 more of them. So hopefully they're less Bohemian Rhapsody and more 24-hour party people. But of course that's not gonna happen. They're gonna be more Bohemian Rhapsody.
The second that hits Hulu, I'm watching that, Brett.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Bob Marley One Love.
Let's see. Madame
Webb.
Webb way down there.
Look, Madame Webb's it's in her 4th week, and she's getting crushed by Bob Marley One Love.
Let's see. Wonka is out. Argyle's fallen out. Joe, you were telling me about this coming at number 10. This is why I want to look at this every week because this really tells you what's going on in our culture. The Chosen coming at number 10. And Margaret, can you cut back to Joe for this? I want Joe to tell me about The Chosen because I was not aware of this, and which is a shame as someone who keeps track of evangelical religious culture in this country. What the hell is The Chosen? Why is it number 10?
It's a humongous Christian television program called The Chosen about the life of Jesus, and it does boffo numbers, whether it's on TV or their private streaming platforms, or in this case, it looks like it's being released as a Fathom event, when they show a concert or like a, whatever, an anime. It's like an event piece at the movie theaters. Well, look, The Chosen is so popular that it can pull butts and seats. Brett, this TV show about Jesus is so popular that in season 4, they're giving it a theatrical release, and it's beating Argyle this week at the box office.
So this is
look, I'm no expert on this. This is, but that's what that is.
This is a TV show.
I think so.
That is so popular among evangelicals in this country, Christians in this country, that they put it in theaters.
Yes, absolutely.
And in theaters, this TV show is the 10th biggest movie in the country.
What we have to remember, folks, is remember, Sound of Freedom was, this is fake fact, one of the largest movies of last year. These people move box office and they move numbers. There's a ton of them.
Sound of Fury outperformed so many big budget Hollywood movies. And I know the thing about like fake tickets and this and that.
No,
they didn't buy that many fake tickets. No. Okay, and let's not do the 2016 thing where we put our head in the sand and pretend it's all fake and these people don't exist. No, this is real. We need to reckon with the fact that Sound of Freedom, The Chosen, there is an alternative cinema that is being created for right-wing evangelicals in this country, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and more lucrative, and it's just going to contribute to the isolation of everybody from everybody else. As speaking of, Civil War's coming out in a couple weeks.
Can't wait.
Alex
Also,
Garland.
that being said, folks, all this chatter, I haven't seen one episode of The Chosen. So for all I know, Brett, it's a hell of a ride.
Well, check out The Chosen. What's about the life of Christ?
I believe so.
I might watch it. Check out The Chosen.
Pretty good.
Dune 2
Big news.
has been out for a couple weeks, but our show is new, so we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. We wanted to talk about Dune 2 tonight. We've seen it. We've seen both of them, and let's practice our French here real quick. It is Denis Villeneuve.
That's right.
Denis Villeneuve is how you pronounce the director's name. We've seen a bunch of pretty much all of his movies, including these two Dunes. Joe, what did you think of Dune 2?
Well, I loved it, Brett. I saw Dune 2 at 70 millimeter IMAX at City Walk, which, folks, is a massive screen. I sat in the 5th row. I sat in the middle. I got a big bowl of popcorn, and I just watched the shit out of Dune 2. I didn't know I was going to love Dune 2. I've had a weird on-off relationship with Denis over the years, and Dune 1 wasn't my favorite. When I saw it on my TV, mea culpa, and it was cool. I loved the Baron. I thought the visuals were impressive, but I don't know. It just didn't sweep me away. I wasn't talking about Dune all week long. But when I saw Dune 2, I came out of that movie theater experience and I said, you know what? Shit, I'm a Dune guy. Damn it. I'm a Dune guy. Why am I a Dune guy? Dune's got a lot of cool stuff in it, folks. It has Bene Gesserit. It has the Sandworm. It has the Fremen. It has Spice. It has the Baron. I just kind of Dune 2 to speak specifically about the film, what really got me involved, not just the lore and the characterization. I believe that in Dune 2, Denis is doing something more exciting than Dune 1. And Dune 1 is kind of a setup, and Dune 2 is sort of an action movie, and it has a wonderful pacing and energy. And one thing I really valued about it is that the way that Dune 2 handled plotting and narrative. Dune is super simple, Brett. It is like a straightforward thing. It is Star Wars. It is like, you know how Dune is going to go. It's like, okay, so they tell you at the top of Dune 1 how it's going to go. They're going to go to the Fremen and they're going to take over the spice, or, you know, and the prophecy. It's all laid out. It's very straightforward. It's very Star Wars. And what I appreciated about Dune 2 was Denis sort of like let up then on the insistent sort of like downbeat plotting of big budget Hollywood filmmaking, and sort of kind of left the time to become sort of abstracted as the movie went along, and the plot points to not really have like a solid clarity through beat. And the whole proceeding started to feel really mirage-like and sort of a bit of a dream-like quality as we sort of race towards the end of the film. And I found that very effective. I remember at one point sitting there and just sort of being like, oh, I guess he's the king now or something. It just sort of moved along, and I appreciated it because we don't need all that. We know how these stories go. Denis obsessed with the visual. It's his curse. It's his blessing. The man is obsessed with the visual. He said it on Fresh Air like a couple weeks ago. If he could make silent movies, he would. He does not care about dialogue. He just cares about the visual. Bad news for Denis is I got notes on his visuals. Massively impactful, large-scale, gorgeous cinema quality movies. But so much of his movies are so obsessed with absence, not just of dialogue, but of things in the image, and so obsessed with sparseness and light that it can become rather dry. I found that Dune 2, he incorporated all of his gorgeous, I wish I was making Lawrence of Arabia sort of scope of his cinema, but it had that nice pacing. It had sort of an advanced sort of, I'm giving it credit for this. Many people are just saying it's to its detriment. I liked its sort of bad plotting towards the end of Dune 2. I found it riveting. And I left the theater and I wanted to ride a worm. The riding the worm scene, real quick, last thing, sorry. I loved that part. Just things I loved. Riding the big worm, that was great. Okay. The Baron rocks, Brett. I'm excited to hear your take. I hope you'll speak on the Baron and you'll let me know thumbs up, thumbs down. Baron rocks. Baron rocked about Dune 1. What's everyone's favorite parts of Dune 1? Oh, he's up on the ceiling with the poison. He's coming out of the big tub. He's floating. He has a pet spider. He's awesome. Dune 2, if you're a Baron guy, you're going to love Dune 2. Brett, I'd love to hear, because Brett, we haven't really connected on Dune 2 yet.
I watched it. I watched it today.
Okay.
So all this is fresh. I agree with everything that you said about Denis' direction. But that's why I did not enjoy Dune 2, just like I didn't enjoy Dune 1. And again, it feels silly to say that because he's clearly such a talented, profoundly talented visual artist and director, and the action scenes are so tight and so precise, and he has such an incredible understanding of foreground, background, and just simple basic cinematic ways of establishing tension in scenes and establishing sort of surprise and engaging the audience's interest. He clearly has a very profound and proficient cinematic language at his disposal. The problem is, to me, his direction is so sparse and so minimalist and so afraid of sort of anything that would be sort of surprising or shocking or even sort of crowded or even a little messy. There's control to a point that sort of bugs me and leaves me feeling isolated and disengaged from the movie. The movie to me is beautiful in the way that like a luxury car commercial can be beautiful. It's beautiful. It's the aesthetic is like the aesthetic of like a bloodless corpse. It is like there is so little life in his aesthetic. There is so little energy and charisma. And as beautiful as the opening action sequences are and the beginning of the movie is, I'm constantly feeling like, what am I missing? I'm missing something. Why don't I like this more? It's gorgeous. It's amazing. It's got all the elements, but there's something. What's missing? What's missing? And I realized what's missing when Josh Brolin entered the movie, because it was the same thing that happened to me in Blade Runner 2049 when Harrison Ford entered the movie. And what I realized was like, oh, right. Big movies like this need fucking movie stars. And they need movie stars who are acting like movie stars, who have the charisma and the presence and eat up the screen in the way that movie stars eat up the screen. When Brolin comes in, you cannot tell me that when Brolin comes into the movie and he's strumming that guitar and suddenly you get this fucking swagger and this charisma, suddenly I'm like, here we go, a movie. Before that, though, there is a precision to the movie's detriment, and I don't know how the actors were coached, but everyone is guarded. Zendaya is like, and you can see it bubbling up a little bit. Zendaya has such natural charisma, such natural such natural sort of energy, and there's such a humanness to her, and she sort of makes everything fun, no matter even if it's depressing and dark. But there's like everybody's sort of bottled up. Everyone's energy is bottled up. All the performances are bottled up. And I did, of course, love the Baron. I love those.
Thank you.
I love those visuals, but he could have gone harder and weirder in those moments, because to me, Dune is giving you H.R. Giger light, people. It is giving you diet Giger. It is not giving you full Giger. It's starting to flirt with H.R. Giger when we go to the Baron's planet and they're doing the big Colosseum fight where we see Austin Butler for the first time, and those weird creatures in the black cloaks are sort of in the background.
I love
it's flirting with Giger, but give me more, because what Giger would do is he would make. There was kind of something disgusting and body horror always about Giger. Right. But here it's like Giger from a distance. It's Giger in a museum. Because again, everything is about this sort of museum level precision. And at a point that becomes boring and I become disengaged from that. So I would and we're going to talk about Villeneuve's earlier movies in a second. To me, there is a break in Villeneuve's filmography where Hollywood takes over and he starts to work on these big budget franchise movies. And to me, that's where this whole thing starts. You could argue that it was there in the earlier movies, that it was present in the earlier movies, but it becomes overpowering in Blade Runner and in the Dunes and even in Arrival a little bit. This just, again, precision to the detriment of the movie. This obsession with everything being perfect, everything being sort of minimalist, all the performances being a little muted, even the sort of like, the look of it being always sort of slightly muted. And Dune, the book, is kitschier than you think it's going to be, right? The David Lynch Dune obviously is a movie that feels like it was just made under duress, and is a movie that feels like, I don't remember the history off the top of my head, but you watch it and it just feels like a movie that was probably taken out of his hands at some point and re-edited or recut or something. It just feels like a movie that was probably not the way he intended it. But David Lynch has kitsch and he has camp and he has color and he has sci-fi weirdness in the movie in a way that Villeneuve does not seem capable of doing. And I don't want this to become, look, if this just becomes, here's the thing, if this just remains the Villeneuve aesthetic and we get a Villeneuve movie that looks like this, that's fine. But please, if these movies become financially successful, this is going to become the look, much like the Fincher filter, this is going to become the look and the feel of mainstream sci-fi. And I'm begging you, Hollywood,
Brett,
please do not let that happen. Please, please, please.
Too late, friend.
Keep kitsch in sci-fi. Keep camp in sci-fi. Keep color in sci-fi. Please do not make all sci-fi look like a luxury car commercial. I'm begging you.
I see it like this. There was just in recent history, there's Nolan did Dark Knight, and then sort of from there, Villeneuve brought elevated sci-fi with Arrival, and then Garland sort of brought elevated sci-fi with a bit of a half smile with Ex Machina, and those three are all sort of lumped in my head, even though they all do different things. But what they do is scale and scope, and they do sort of fantastic stories. But focusing on Denis. But anyway, Brett, I think that like Arrival, essentially.
Yeah. Where do you put this? Where do you put this in the Denis filmography? Where does this go? Where does this go?
All right. So thinking about the filmography,
and really quickly, we've got just because because of our getting late
I'm
start.
happy
We're getting to the
yeah.
end of the show here.
That's okay.
But really quick, the Denis filmography. I'm going to start with his breakout movie, the one that he got nominated for Best International Film for, which was Incendious. So in 2010, he has Incendious, which is amazing. Highly recommend. I love Incendious. Then 2013, he does Prisoners and Enemy, his Gyllenhaal
2013.
phase. 2013
Right.
is Prisoners, which I know you love. I love it.
Obsessed.
And Enemy, which I think is amazing with Jake Gyllenhaal, like a little low budge doppelganger movie.
It's a little treat for Joe. Brett. Never seen.
Oh, watch Enemy.
Little treat.
Watch Enemy. Enemy's great. Then he does Sicario in 2015. Arrival in 2016, and then he gets into the franchises take hold. He does Blade Runner 2049 in 2017, and then he does the 2 Dunes, and that's where we are. So where does this fall in the Denis filmography? And also what would be your top Denis? What are your top ones?
Well, here's the thing. This week, I really went back into the catalog. I watched Arrival again. I watched Blade Runner again. I watched Dune, and I watched Dune 2. Prisoners has long been one of my favorite movies.
Joe's always talking about Prisoners.
It's excellent. It's wonderful. I have it on good authority that Sicario is pretty good. I've seen it. I liked it very much. I don't really remember it, so it's not really fair. But this week, Brett, you know what the problem with this guy is kind of what you're saying about Dune 2. When I was watching Blade Runner and was watching Arrival, I was like, this guy is cool. Like, these movies are cool.
Yeah.
They're cool to a fault, unfortunately.
Yes.
They're cool. Like, they're literally cool. They're emotionally cool. I found lots of moments of freedom and bright spots, even in some of his most dour pictures, like in his Blade Runner movie. I really forgot how much cool he could pack into one thing, how amazing his composition can be. But there's some sort of sexless, bloodless, like you said earlier today, rigidity that's inescapable and does kind of create me wanting more, which is why when you ask me where does Dune 2 rank on my Denis filmography, honey, I'm thinking number 2. I'm thinking it's my second favorite Denis after Prisoners, Brett.
Wow.
Because Dune 2, he is an interesting and smart guy. I listened to a couple interviews with him this week. He understands that he needs to grow as a director. I heard him say, some of these guys can just jump into big tentpole filmmaking and they're just incredible, right? But he's like, I need one after the other. He's like, I needed Arrival to do Blade Runner. I needed Blade Runner to do Dune. I needed Dune to do Dune 2. And I appreciated that comment because I kind of saw that growth. I'm sure what he's talking about is the logistics of managing 1,000 people in the desert, but I feel like it manifests in his film. I found more joy in Dune 2 than I've found in basically any of his films. The sandworm scene, which was actually shot by his wife, amazing. And Butler, so fun and alive. Talk about a guy who really is popping out of the formalism of his director. I found Butler to be giving what Butler seems to give, folks, which is fun,
110%.
loud, 110%. I'm in, Brett. Are you out? That was a little bit of a remark you just made there.
No, I like Austin Butler.
I'm all in.
I like the weirdness. I like the roles he I mean, going from Tex Watson to Elvis to this
Planes.
this
Planes on TV, whatever that is.
Oh my God, plane movie.
Remember Planes?
Oh yes,
he's like an old Planes.
Anyway,
so
to this, I love Austin Butler, and I'll say, look, I mean, here's what I would say to Denis Villeneuve is I love that he still knows that he has other places to go in his career.
Yeah.
I would love. I assume he's got to do a third Dune, right? He's already contractually obligated to do. Okay,
he's doing Dune 3.
Denis, I'm begging you, don't fall in love with the money, though. Okay, don't. I know Hollywood loves you because you're a sure bet. They know what they're know what they're going to get. There's no risk. They know what they're going to get from a Denis Villeneuve movie.
Something good.
But I'm begging. I'm looking at your filmography, and I see a change here that happens, right? Because we've got Incendious, we've got Prisoners, we've got Enemy, we've got Sicario, we've got Arrival. And to me, my favorites are, and this is not to be annoying and say I love the early ones, but the early ones have so much life in them, have a little bit of weirdness, have a little bit of chaos. There seems to be a little bit of risk. They're risky stories to try to tell and pull off. They're kind of bizarre, unconventional stories. The man loves a twist ending. The man loves a twist ending. Put him up there with Shyamalan. You don't think about this. This guy, and I'm not going to give them away, right? But Incendious twist ending, Prisoners twist ending, Enemy sort of like a twisty punch in the face sort of shot at the end. Arrival, of course, twist ending, right? So Blade Runner, he put a twist ending in, right? So the guy loves a twist. But I want that instinct. I want a little bit, do more for the audience. It feels like you make these movies almost sort of around some obsessive compulsive need to fulfill an aesthetic that's in your head.
Yes.
Remember the audience. Keep the audience in mind. Go back to the guy that was giving us twist endings, that was giving us sort of shock endings. Incendious has some sequences that are absolutely mind-blowing and terrifying. I know I just watched it, but I also just watched Dune today, and guess which one I can't stop thinking about?
The first
Fucking
one.
Incendious, not Dune. Dune I forgot about the second I got in my car. Incendious, I'll be
That's
thinking
crazy
about for
to
months.
me. I believe you, and I like your opinion, but that's just not how I felt, folks. This whole week has been a week of learning for me because I entered this week going, Denny, he's cold, he's boring. And I left the week going, you know what? Maybe, but also he's kind of bringing, like a weekend when a Denny movie comes out versus some of these other Jokers, I'm like, sign me up. And I loved Dune 2, and I love the Bene Gesserit, and I love Lea Sedone, and I love Florence Pugh, and I love Timothée.
Joe, I was looking at your Letterboxd.
Thank you.
And we are both on Letterboxd. You can find Joe at Joe Cilio. You can find me at Brett, BREYYYATTT.
So that's 3 Ys in Brett, 5 Ys in movies, baby.
Don't get it twisted. 3 Ys in my username, 5 Ys in movies, baby. Always, everywhere. I was looking at your Letterboxd, keeping an eye on you, saying, what's my guy Joe up to? What's he watching this week? What's he liking?
Right.
And I saw you went back and watched Grindhouse, the Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez team up, where they both did a 1-hour Grindhouse style movie. They got released, together. What was that like? I assume you've seen Grindhouse before.
I have. I've seen Grindhouse before. I've seen both of the movies. I love Grindhouse.
This is Death Proof and Planet Terror, the 2 movies.
That's
How was that? How was watching Grindhouse? And is this something you would recommend people do a rewatch of or a first watch of? Let us know what you thought about Grindhouse.
Thank you, Brett. Well, folks, actually on Oscar Sunday, here's a little trick or a little fact. I skipped the Oscars, folks. I said I'm TiVoing this, and I'm going to the movies because I got to go.
It's your job now to watch. You have to watch the Oscars now. Now that we do this show,
I watched the Oscars like twice. I just watched it after the movies.
Okay, we'll talk. I feel like you have to.
It has to be live.
Yeah, I think this is
now. What's the difference?
I feel like now it's your job to watch the Oscars live, but that's okay. We'll talk about it later.
I said, forget that. That's what TiVo's for, even though it's called DVR now. And I went to the New Beverly where they were screening Quentin Tarantino's personal 35 millimeter print of the original Grindhouse experience. And by that, I mean in 2007, when they first distributed Grindhouse, you couldn't see just Planet Terror or just Death Proof. You could only go to buy a ticket for Grindhouse. And the whole magic of that ticket was, yes, Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror was going to roll. And then they had a bunch of fake trailers that we all know about, like Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, etc. Machetes at the beginning of the movie.
Wait, I don't even remember that. Thanksgiving started out as a trailer in Grindhouse?
Oh, yeah, baby.
That's so funny.
The movie opens. It's all like old school. They make some old fake trailers that look really cool. And this is stuff that you can't really see if you just watch Death Proof or just watch Planet Terror. So we got to see all the old commercials before Machete, then the Machete commercial, which still absolutely destroys, then Planet Terror, which you're like, oh, that's the weaker one, right? Yes, but you know what? Rodriguez is giving you so much of the gross out stuff that you're really paying the money for. He's doing Quentin a solid by just being like, here's some disgusting slime, here's like a head exploding, here's some beautiful ladies, this is my Grindhouse thing. So much fun, and it played gangbusters in the theater. Then it's the trailers, Roth, Zombie, etc., Thanksgiving. Then Death Proof. The thing of note, Death Proof in the original Grindhouse, when Death Proof came out, people thought it kind of stunk. And now I kind of know why. There are some things cut from when you watch just the Grindhouse experience. Death Proof is pared down, and it's really good, but it's not like one of the first. I mean, Death Proof is one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies. It is incredible, and it just doesn't quite work in the edited version that the Weinsteins put out. But overall, do I recommend Grindhouse, Brett? Of course I recommend Grindhouse. Grindhouse is one of the coolest things. It's a fun idea that rocked. I love it. I still love it. 5 stars.
I gotta rewatch Grindhouse.
It's
You've
fucking
convinced
awesome,
me,
man.
I think I'm gonna rewatch Grindhouse.
But or just watch Death Proof. the regular version.
I remember. Oh,
Not the
Kurt
Grind.
Russell.
It's so good.
Kurt Russell's so cool in that, and so
Scary.
terrifying.
It's the best.
Oh,
Brett,
yes.
I was checking out your letterbox.
Where are
friend,
you now?
and it was looking fresh and updated. I saw an
I'm
update.
I'm trying.
No, it looked really
me.
good.
You're so good on there. I'm trying.
Stop. No, it looked great because I saw a little 3.5-star review of the movie Barb Wire.
Yeah, and honestly, that feels a little low.
Okay.
I had so much fun. This is the first time I watched Barb Wire. It's part of Criterion Channel's Razzies collection, and I gotta say, this Razzies collection on Criterion, it just nullifies the Razzies. It just because there are so many. Like, I've never wanted to watch so many movies all at once on Criterion than that Razzies playlist. Everything on there is fun. Everything looks amazing. Everything I'm like, oh God, I had never seen that. I got to see that. And I got to tell you, Barb Wire was an absolute freaking blast. I had so much fun watching Barb Wire. I loved it. Talk about everything I don't get from Dune 2. Joe, you asked me this before. If this was Bergman's and it was Dune 2 versus Barb Wire, and I had to be honest, which we do have to be on Bergman's.
Right.
I mean, I guess we have to be honest on this show as well.
Right.
I would pick Barb Wire. I had so much fun. It has so much of what I like and look for in sci-fi. It was messy and it wasn't always great, but it was going for it so hard and it was weird and fun. And I gotta say, look, Pamela Anderson, obviously, she's not like, this was like her first movie she was headlining, right? I mean, she'd been on TV. And so there was this thing, though, where we like judged Pamela Anderson's entire career based off this movie, and then just Hollywood decided she couldn't do movies anymore because this one bombed and got panned, etc. I think that was a complete missed opportunity. I think in previous decades there would have been a more dynamic role for Pamela Anderson in movies. I think she could have been a B-movie icon. I think she could have killed it in Russ Meyer movies, in Grindhouse movies, in Cannon movies in the 80s, right? I think in previous decades, there would have been a place for Pamela Anderson where she could have had a long career in movies, making so many more Barb Wires. And all these Barb Wires that we missed out on, I weep for. I wish we had more Barb Wires. But the thing about the late 90s that people are now reckoning with and going back to as we're thinking about the Monica Lewinsky scandal, as we are sort of relitigating Britney Spears' career, the thing that people are realizing is that 90s tabloid culture ran on and was addicted to slut shaming. That was kind of the whole thing, right? Was Monica Lewinsky, Britney, Pamela Anderson with the sex tape, and because it was a classic thing where when that Pam and Tommy Lee sex tape came out and it was stolen from their house and leaked online, Tommy Lee was getting high fives, and then Pamela Anderson was getting called a slut and was the butt of Jay Leno monologue jokes for years. I think that's a shame because and because of that, you get your career becomes monologue jokes. You don't get to have a career. You get turned into the butt of the jokes, and then Barb Wire comes out. And I remember at the time, it kind of being treated as like a joke of a movie. I was I was too young to go see Barb Wire in theaters, but I still have a vivid memory of it being a sort of monologue joke on late night television, et cetera, et cetera. That is such a shame. Pamela Anderson is so cool and sexy and violent in this movie. She kills a guy with a stiletto heel for harassing her. Another guy gets bit in the balls by a Rottweiler. In a lot of ways, watching it now, this movie, awesome. I don't think it was intentional at the time, but watching it now, this movie almost feels like Anderson's like middle finger to Hollywood. Like, she walks around, she's a badass, she's in leather. Anytime a guy messes with her or sort of cat calls her or is rude to her, they get killed. It's truly cool. It sounds amazing. It's an incredible movie. And look, Udo Kier and Clint Howard are in it. And if that's not a sign that this movie is high trash, really I don't know what is. Those guys don't get out of bed for anything except high trash. And that's exactly what this is. There's so many aesthetics going on. You literally have goth, cyberpunk, S&M, noir, biker culture, Burning Man shit, weird 40s throwback stuff. The bad guys all dressed like Nazis. This movie is so much fun. It's like they told every character in the movie to go raid the wardrobe department and just pick something fun. It's a movie that screams, unlike Dune, it's a movie that screams, this is a movie. You're watching a movie. Have fun. And I love that. Roger Ebert nailed it on Barbed Wire. He said, the filmmakers must have known they were not making a good movie, but they didn't use that as an excuse to be boring and lazy. Barbed Wire has a high energy level and a sense of deranged fun. Yes, it does, Roger. Always ahead of the curve on things. He was saying this back at the time when everyone was just making fun of Barbed Wire, and then they didn't let Pamela Anderson be in any more movies after that. That's a shame. We should have fucking 10, 20, 30 Barbed Wires at this point. There should be be a Pamela Anderson B-movie collection that comes out on DVD, and there's a whole box set. It's a shame we
Call her up.
We lost a career, and I will say,
Let's get some cameras. We have some. Margot's here in the booth. She loves Pam Am.
Hey, Pam,
let's get some
if you're
going.
Still into it. Let's do Barb Wire. Let's do Barb Wire 2 because Barb Wire 1 is so much fun. That brings us to the end of the first episode of Movies Baby. Thank you so much for joining us. That flew by. That was such a blast. I cannot wait to keep doing this every week.
I know.
And I will say, so what's going to happen now is we're going to take a little 10-minute break, and then we're going to come back for Weekend at Bergman's, American Pie versus Eyes Wide Shut. And if you are on Patreon, you will join us for that. If you're on YouTube, your stream is going to stop. And if you want to join us, and I hope that you do, for Eyes Wide Shut versus American Pie, head over to the Patreon, sign up for the $10 tier, the Ultimate Movie Lovers Experience.
It's $10. That's half of
We've been
lunch.
putting so much fun stuff on there. We had a bonus live stream this Monday. I have tomorrow, I'm calling it Frame It Friday. Every Friday, you're going to get a gorgeous frame from a movie that belongs in a museum. Frame It Friday. Saturdays, you're going to get a scene, scene from our
Scene Saturday.
I can't remember what we're calling Scene Saturday. Scene for Saturday, something like that.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be scenes from Forever Dog's VHS collection. So something from Forever Dog's VHS collection, a classic scene on VHS quality. You're getting so much stuff in addition to this Thursday night live stream in its entirety.
Come watch Bergman.
So please stay around for Bergman. Sign up for our Patreons, patreon.com/moviesbaby with 5 Ys. We will be back after a short break for Weekend at Bergman's. And then, Margot, whenever you're ready, we can cut to that transition video. And we'll see all the people. We'll see all the people very soon.
5 Ys, folks.
5 Ys, Movies Baby. Thank you so much for joining us. And there we go.